Hi everyone. So today I want to talk about something that's been really weighing on my mind a lot lately. I've been having a pretty rough week, and it's not necessarily with my Tourette's, but with other medical problems that I have. And so this has been a subject that I've been wanting to talk about for a while now because I know a lot of people, even those who don't have Tourette's, that are watching this video, can sorry can attest to and can relate to. And so I thought it was a really important video to make. So, what I want to talk about is how the saying that people tend to hear is when you tell them that you have something wrong with you, or you tell them that you have Tourette syndrome, if that's what you're watching this specifically for, and that's what I have, obviously, with a long list of other medical problems. They look at you and say, well, you don't look like you have it, or you don't look like you're sick. I've never seen you tick before, so you must be fine. Or, well, it can't be that bad because I don't see it happening. And I can feel my blood start to boil a little bit when I hear that, because even if you think you're saying that and you think you're being kind and you're thinking that it's not that big of a deal for you to say that, all that does is really undermine us and undermine anybody else that's going through the issue. Because what you see on the surface is completely different than what it's like for that person, or like for me at home. I know when I'm at work, I don't tick nearly as badly as I can, or as the bad days, I don't want to say allow me to, but force me to do. And so a lot of people at work don't really see that because I'm so concentrated and I'm so focused on what I'm doing while I'm at work. So a lot of my tics are just subconsciously, not even suppressed, but they're put to the wayside. But that means anything that I didn't do that day comes out later when I get home, or even sometimes when I'm in the car. And just as a quick PSA, I don't drive if my tics are too bad. I do find a ride, and I won't drive if I feel like I'm going to be a danger to myself or anybody else. But so many people have said those things to me. So many people say that they don't see me tick, and I always have to tell them, well, you just haven't realized that it's a tick. Sometimes I tick where it looks like I'm stretching. Sometimes I tick where it does just, well, mainly it looks like I'm stretching, like I said, or I'm ticking with my stomach, or I'm ticking with my hands under the desk, or my feet under the desk, and so you can't see it. Over time, not that I can control my tics in any way, but over time you learn how to try and hide them in a sense. And those watching with Tourette syndrome, I'm sure, understand exactly what I mean. And those watching with other medical issues probably know exactly what I mean as well, because you learn how to cope and adapt to your surroundings. And basically, when it comes down to it, if I'm trying to put my tics hidden or something else, for the most part, I'm doing that for your benefit, because I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. And I know how ridiculous that kind of sounds. Like, once I say it, it sounds so ridiculous to me. And yeah, obviously it's also for me, but it's really just to make people around me so they don't stare and so they don't feel weird about it. Because most of the time they don't know what to say, and then they say things like, well, it's not that bad, right? Or blah, 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 blah. Or you're too young to have this problem. And that's the biggest one for me. Obviously, my videos right here, they're to talk about my Tourette syndrome. They're to talk about Tourette syndrome in general and let everybody know. But Tourette syndrome is only one of my issues that I have, and I have so many others. I've been fighting for years to find out why I have fatigue and why I have all these problems, because I have such fatigue problems. I am so tired all the time, and people always say, like, well, you don't seem like you're that tired. Like, people that maybe not know me that well and aren't around me the most. And that's because I'm trying to just get through it, because why am I going to sit there and suffer through it the whole time? Because I know I've been trying to figure it out for years. I've been getting many, many tests done, and so many people tell me, well, you're too young to be tired. What are you tired? What could you possibly be tired about? Or what could you possibly be stressed about? And I can't stand when people say that, because you have no idea what somebody's going through. I've tried everything, so please don't give me suggestions and everything else on how to fix it, because I promise you I've tried so many things, and I do really feel like I'm finally onto something. But that's besides the point. My point is that what you see and what meets the eye, and I know that's so probably cliche to say, is only half of the story and half of the problem. in saying things like that, like I said earlier, it undermines it so much. That you saying that to me, well, it doesn't seem that bad, or well, it must not be that bad, right? That tells me like all those bad times that I go through, like all those things, like it makes me feel like I exaggerate it or something, or it makes me feel like you think that maybe I'm a liar in a sense. And I know that's not necessarily what somebody is trying to say to me, but that's kind of how it makes me feel, and I'm sure that's kind of how it makes other people feel as well. And if it's talking about other medical problems or other issues that I have in your life, we know that we're too young to have that problem, or we know that it doesn't make sense for us to have this problem. It doesn't make sense for my body to move without my own control. I know that, but it's what I've been living with for over 20 years. That doesn't mean that it's not happening. Just because it doesn't make logical sense to you doesn't mean that it's not real for the person going through it, and I cannot stress that enough. Yeah, it might get uncomfortable if somebody talks about their problems and you might not know what to say, but undermining is definitely not the way to go, especially with Tourette syndrome too. You have no idea what we're going through at home. My tics get so much worse when I get home, and again, not that they're that bad every single day. They get worse this time of year because I love this time of year and I'm excited, but what I portray in certain scenarios and around certain people, it's different because I don't want to make other people uncomfortable, and I don't want to make myself uncomfortable, and unbeknownst to them, that's what makes my tics worse later at night, because I'm trying to get through the day without anybody really noticing what I'm doing or noticing that I'm weird if they don't know that I have Tourette syndrome. So I just really wanted to drive home that point, is that you really don't know what somebody's going through. You don't know what our home life is like. You don't know what we're going through in that exact moment, and what tics we're either suppressing, what tics we're hiding, or what tics we're actually doing every minute of every single day. But because you can't see them, you don't think they're real. I have holding my breath tics. So you're not always going to hear that. Maybe when I expel the breath, you might hear that part of it, but you're not going to hear me hold my breath. And so that's just one of the many examples of what we go through and what other people go through with their medical problems as well. You never know what somebody's dealing with. So always just be kind and try not to make the person feel like, try not to make them feel like they're stupid or like their problems aren't real, because that doesn't help. It only makes the situation worse. And with somebody like me with Tourette syndrome, that makes my tics worse, because it makes me feel like you don't believe me now. And so now my anxiety is heightened around you. And so therefore my Tourette's are going to be that much worse around you. And I'm going to be trying to suppress them more. And it's just going to be this crazy domino effect that nobody enjoys. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I know most of you probably already know those kinds of things, but those of you watching maybe that have a clean bill of health and no neurological syndromes or disorders, maybe you don't realize how you're coming off. And even I'm sure that I've said things that I shouldn't have said to people sometimes. So it's just really a PSA. It's good to try and help the person, but it's not good to try and make them feel like their problems are only this big, when to them it's their entire world every single day. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I will be back on to talk about more topics. I have a few other videos in mind that I want to do the next few, but please, if you have any questions, if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, please comment below, and don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because you never know who you might be helping or whose life you might be touching by teaching them about this disorder and the long list of other things that it comes with. Bye, guys.